Hello friends, today the topic we'll be covering is charges. This is covered under chapter 6 of the Companies Act 2013. The relevant sections are from section 77 to 87. The concerned rules are Companies Registration of Charges Rules 2014. The forms we'll be dealing with are from CHG 1 to CHG 10. And this topic is relevant for CS Executive Program, CA IPCC Program, LLB students, CMA Intermediate students, and other exams such as CS Professionals, Secretarial Audit, where this chapter appears. So before we go into the depth of the sections, like we usually do, we start with the basic meanings. So first, what is meant by charges? Friends, as we all know, a company requires capital. Capital is the wealth of the company. So to raise the capital, the company can either issue shares or it can go for external borrowings. Now, what are external borrowings? So when the company goes to external parties such as banks to raise capital, such a way of raising capital is called raising of capital through external borrowings. So friends, now as you see the second point, when a company raises capital through borrowings, the process of creating security on the assets of the company is called charges. Okay, so I'll give you an example. You go to a bank, you need money. Will the bank give you money on your face value? Obviously, it will not. You need to give a security to the bank that in case you default in repaying the amount, the bank can have access to the security and it can deal with the security, right? The security can be your property or any other valuable item that you possess. So now instead of yourself, put a company. So let us say a company goes to a bank to get a loan. It needs to provide a security, right? So the simple process of creating security on its assets. Assets is something valuable to the company, right? So the process of creating security on the assets of the company is called charges. So now we'll go through the point again. This time you'll understand. So put instead of yourself, put a company in that position. So when a company raises capital through borrowings, the process of creating security on the assets of the company is called charges. So what is a charge? Charge is the security created on the company's assets when it resorts to borrowings. So once again, in simple words, when a company raises capital through borrowings, it needs to create a security. This security is created on its assets and the security created is called charges. So now we go to how to remember the sections, right? So here I have two interesting methods, friends. I hope they work for you. If they don't, and if anyone has a better method, feel free to put it in the comment section. It will help everyone, right? So we start with method 1, that is sports method, an interesting method, right? Sports in company law sounds a little weird, but it will be useful here, right? So let us say you are a football fan. So in football we know Cristiano Ronaldo, Lionel Messi, the two big names, right? So the trick here is you have to remember Ronaldo's jersey number, that is 7. Many football fans know that. So two Ronaldo jerseys, 7, 77, that is the opening section of charges. Simple. Now to this 77, just remember Messi's jersey number, that is 10. So just add the 10 to 77. 77 plus 10 is 87, the closing section of charges. So here you go, 77, opening section, 2 Ronaldo jerseys. Add Messi's jersey number to it, that is 10. You get 87, closing section of charges. So simple trick here. And in case you are a cricket fan, now let us say you don't watch football, you like cricket. Okay, so MS Dhoni's jersey number is 7. So 2 Dhoni jerseys, remember that, 7, 77, simple, opening section of charges. Now the other name we remember in cricket is Tendulkar, his jersey number is 10. just add a 10 to 77, you get 87. That is the closing section of charges. So simply here these two methods, these two for football and cricket fans, these are the two tricks to remember section 77 to 87. So now let us say you are not a sports fan. So in such a case, what do you do? Simple. So you just start by counting the number of letters in the word charges twice. So let's count the number of letters in the word charges. C is 1, H2, A3, R4, G5, E6, S7. So there are total 7 letters in the word charges. So just count it twice, right? The second time also you get 7. So 7, 7. That is the opening section of charges. So now, as in the introduction I told you, we'll be dealing with forms CHG 1 to CHG 10, right? So simply remember the last form number 10, CHG 10. Now add this number 10 to 77. You will get 87. That is the closing section of charges. So hence section 77 to 87 is the closing and opening section of charges. This is the counting of letters methods. So now friends, we come to the types of charges. There are two types: fixed charges, floating charges. So we'll start with fixed charges. As the name suggests, fixed charge is a charge created on the fixed assets of the company, that is land, plant and machinery, etc. So simple, fixed charge is a charge created on the fixed assets of the company. Now what is the relevant provision with respect to this charge? Company can use these assets but cannot deal with them. So let us say a company has a land which it has given as a charge. Okay, in such a case the company can continue cultivating the land. It can use the land, cultivating, or use it for any other purpose, but it cannot deal with them. That means it cannot sell, mortgage, lease, etc. with the land. It has to recognize the charge on the land. So simply these 2 points you remember. Fixed charge is a charge created on fixed assets. Company can use these assets but cannot deal with them. Underline the word deal. This is the important crux of this topic. And now the second type of charge, floating charge. This also, as the name suggests, floating charge is a charge created on floating assets. What are floating assets? They can be current assets, bank balances, etc. So the relevant provision here is that company can use these assets. Even in fixed charge we could see that they could use the assets. But here the difference is the company can also deal with them. That means they can sell, mortgage, or lease them. So it means, let us say company has few current assets. Okay, it can also sell, mortgage, and lease them. There is no restriction like fixed charge that they cannot deal with them. The company can freely deal with these assets. So here it's with these assets, yes. So here it's essential to remember that in case of a floating charge, the company can use the assets and also deal with them. So coming to floating charges, friends, there is a concept called crystallization. What is crystallization? As you can see on your screen, floating charges become active upon the crystallization of floating charge. So crystallization means charge holders take steps to enforce their security. So in simple words, if let us say there is a floating charge, okay, and the person who has the floating charge, if he does not go and take steps to enforce it, that means he does not tell the company that it's time to repay my amount, and he does not enforce the charge, in such a case the floating charge will not become active. It's like a power button in your phone. Unless you press the power button, your phone will not come on. Right now, of course, fingerprint, everything is there, but let us say only your phone works with only power button. So in such a case, what do you have to do? You have to press the power button, right? If you do not press the power button, how will your phone come on? Automatically it will not come on, right? In a similar case, when a floating charge is there, the charge holders have to take steps to enforce their security. The steps they take is called crystallization, in simple words. Now, coming to crystallization and postponement of floating charges, after all these sections, at the end, I'll be taking a session on them. We'll go into a little more depth about what is crystallization, etc. As of now, you just remember crystallization is required to make a floating charge active. That's it. Now we come to the statutory definition, friends. So, according to section 2, subsection 16 of the Companies Act 2013, a charge is defined as an interest or lien created on the assets or property of a company or any of its undertaking as security and includes a mortgage. So, we'll break this definition. A charge is an interest or lien created on the assets or property of a company. First thing, easy point to remember, created on the assets of the property of a company or any of its undertakings. So, where is charge created? On the assets or property of the company or any of its undertakings. So, charge as an interest or lien created. Interest means the right to use the property. You know that. Lien means it's the right to keep possession of the property until your payment is received. So basically this definition is saying charge is an interest or lien created on the assets or property of a company or any of its undertakings as security. I told you earlier that security is required when a company resorts to external borrowings. So, and includes a mortgage. So, what is a mortgage? Mortgage takes place when you borrow money by depositing your title deeds or giving interest in the property. There are different types of mortgages, such as simple mortgage, mortgage by condition, etc. So we'll come back again to the definition of charges. Section 2, subsection 16 defines charge as an interest or lien created on the assets or property of a company or any of its undertaking as security and includes a mortgage. This is the statutory definition of the word charges. So this is the table of sections we'll be covering in this chapter. We'll start, as I told you, 77 is the opening section, 87 is the closing section. So we'll be covering each of these sections in depth. Section 77 deals with duty to register charges. 78 deals with application for registration of charge. 79 deals with section 77's applications in certain matters. Section 80 deals with date of notice of charge. Section 81 deals with register of charges to be kept by registrar. And then 82 deals with company to report satisfaction of charge. 83 deals with power of registrar to make entries of satisfaction and release in absence of intimation from company. 84 deals with intimation of appointment of receiver or manager. 85 company's register of charges. 86 the penal section, punishment for contravention. 87 rectification by central government in register of charges. So section 77 to 87 will be dealing in depth in the coming videos. As I regularly tell you, if you could have the Bare Act beside you or after you refer to the class, it will be more useful for you. And there's nothing to worry, we'll be covering the company's Ordinance Amendment 2019 and also the relevant provisions before that. So I'll try and give you a blueprint of how things were before the ordinance and how things are after the ordinance. So this is just the basic introduction of charges. From the next video onwards, we'll be going into the depth. So as usual, a quick revision before I close this video. Charges, Chapter 6 of Companies Act 2013, Sections 77 to 87. the forms we'll be dealing with CHG 1 to CHG 10, and this is applicable for CS Executive, CA IPCC, LLB, CMA Intermediate, etc. So what is the word charges? So when a company resorts to external borrowings, that means when it goes to external parties to raise capital, the process of creating security on the assets of the company is called charges. So when you go to a bank, you have to give a security, right? Similar way, when a company goes to someone else to raise capital, the process of creating security on its assets is called charges. So how do you remember the sections? Two simple methods. Sports method is method 1. If you're a football fan, 2 Ronaldo jerseys plus Messi's jersey, that is 77 plus 10. 77 is the opening section, 87 is the closing section. In case you're a cricket fan, 2 Dhoni jerseys, 77 opening section. Add Tendulkar's jersey number to it, that is 10, 77 to 87. You have the opening and closing section. Method 2, you are not a sports fan. Then in such a case, you just count the number of letters in the word charges twice. The number of letters in the word charges is 7. So you get 7, count it again, you get 7. 7 is 77. So that is the opening section. Now recall the last form of charges, that is CHG 10. So add the number 10 to 77, get 87. Hence 77 to 87 is the closing and opening and closing section of charges. So then what are the types of charges? Fixed charge, floating charge. As we recall, fixed charge created on the fixed assets, land, plant and machinery. Important point here is company can use these assets but cannot deal with them. Floating charge. What is floating charge? Now floating charge is created on the floating assets, that is current assets, bank balances, etc. Companies can use these assets but can also deal with them, that is sell, mortgage or lease them. The important point to remember here is floating charges become active upon the crystallization. Crystallization means charge holders take steps to enforce the security. As I told you in the main video, it's like the power button of your phone. Let us say the phone does not have fingerprint facility. Unless you click the power button, the phone will not become on. So you need to press the power button to make it on. Similarly, the charge holders need to enforce the security. That enforcement is called crystallization. And the relevant sections, I told you, section 77 to 87, which we'll be discussing in the coming videos in depth. So thank you for listening to this class. Hope you liked it. Do give your feedback in the comment section. Thank you.